Welcome back to Energetically You. I'm your host, Megan Swan. I am a wellness mindset and integrated wellness business coach. Today, I'm very excited to interview a new friend of mine. Her name is Jessica Marie. She is a life purpose coach and teaches trauma-informed breathwork, guiding women to expand their purpose, let go of emotional baggage, and create a life of their dreams. She is on a big mission, touching as many lives as she can through self-healing and stepping deeper into the leadership of their life. Ooh, I like that concept. To make ultimately a bigger impact on the world. We're going to get into all of that shortly. She is a former corporate fashion and marketing employee. She's also a former fitness coach. That's actually when I first met her several years ago. And we're going to talk a lot about how the up-leveling or the prioritization of different aspects of taking better care of yourself ultimately helps you transform and find like the deepest purpose that you're here to serve. So let's dive in. Hey, Jessica. So first off, do you go by Jess, Jessica, Jessica Marie? What's your like warmest, fuzzy name that you like to receive?
All of them work out really well. Yes, Jessica is intimate. Jessica Marie is just kind of like my brand. So whatever feels good.
How are you, and where should we start on your journey? Because I know we had a chat, and you, like me, have gone through sort of different progressions of what you've become passionate about up until today, working on. And I really first want to just dive into your journey. So wherever you wanted to start us off would be awesome.
Oh my God, so many journeys we've all been on, right? I would say my biggest pivotal journey was when I was transitioning from fitness and nutrition coaching to life coaching. I think that's like a great transition to start, because that's where I started to wake up to a lot of my patterns, my toxic behaviors. I really started to find guidance with a higher power in a relationship with a higher power. And that really awakened me to my spirituality. And that's when really everything kind of catapulted from there. So yeah, where to start with that? I would say ultimately it really, well, first I'll kind of touch on like my fitness experience. So I left my 9-to-5 and pursued a dream of helping others. And I knew that was like my big, deep passion, my purpose. And I started my own fitness brand, and I absolutely loved it, but it just wasn't really fulfilling me filling me up to the most, because I was realizing that I was attracting a lot of clients that were dealing with a lot of deeper issues versus like, I want to look toned. I want to like change my eating habits so that I can fit in this dress. It's always deeper. And I think when I went through my own weight loss journey, and I lost the weight, I realized that it was so much deeper. So I think I started to kind of like sprinkle in a little bit of like mindset stuff, asking deeper questions. And I think that kind of sparked something in me to realize like, okay, maybe I'm meant to do something more and meant to work with people on like a deeper cellular level. So through that experience, I was kind of going through a lot of personal transition. Like I said, seeing a lot of patterns come up, and really recognizing like where I was putting myself in my life and the worthiness that I had. And I wanted to like dive in, because I think that we all can recognize that we only can go as deep with our clients as we've gone within ourselves. And I was like, okay, so if I want to do this like really deep work, I got to do it first. So through that experience, I ended up hiring a life coach, a mentor, And it was mainly just for business, but really it completely changed my life from the inside and out, and really broke a lot of belief systems, really looked at like my patterns. And again, I felt like I was connecting with a higher power, and I've never really had a relationship with God and universe as deeply as I started to create. And I realized like how much power there is of having guidance and feeling that there's guidance guiding you in your life and you were always taken care of. So, that's really where everything started to shift. I started to feel like I could do anything I wanted. I started to break those belief systems of fitting myself into the box, into the matrix. And I was like, no, I'm meant to do more. I'm meant for more. And then that's what really catapulted my entire journey, leading into one, creating an intimate relationship with myself, first and foremost, getting to know my authentic self. And then two, creating my life coaching brand in my company to work with women who are looking to just empower themselves through finding their truth, coming back home to themselves, and ultimately feel like they are the leaders of their life. And I started doing all of that transition back in, it's been a year and a half now that I've been life coaching. It's been incredible.
Yeah. Well, I want to dive deep into your work now, but first, can we go back and kind of paint a more detailed picture about the first identity shift for you from corporate to fitness coaching? Like, what was your personal transformation and shift in identity from at that point, or from a different perspective? Like, what did fitness coaching give you personally first that you were inspired to share?
I think it gave me an opportunity to think bigger than myself. I think that, I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I was there for, I was always an ambitious woman, always wanted more. I'm from a small town in Ohio, and I always wanted to move to the big city of LA for the glitz and the glamour and to start a career in fashion in the beginning. So anyways, when I moved to LA, when I was working at corporate, I really felt like I was kind of capped with the amount of money I can make. I was capped with like the responsibilities. I started realizing while I was there that I was shifting as a person. So the identity that I was kind of taking on and almost was like forced into, lack of a better word, but was really a place where I was limited. And let's be honest, like the society that we live in, they teach us like, go to high school, go to college, get a degree, work in corporate America, and that's it. You stay in that zone. And I always felt like I wanted to run my own brand or be a creative director of a brand. And when I was working in the fashion industry, I wanted that. I started to see that's what I was like kind of shifting, because I was doing a lot of behind the scenes work. And I was like, I didn't like move 2,300 miles away to like sit behind a desk. Like that just wasn't for me. And I started recognizing that, and I started speaking up about that. And I was shut down so many times. And I remember my director literally said, if you want to stay at this company, this is the ladder you're going to be in. And that's it. And that fucking hit me, where I was like, okay, so the interviews that I've had that say like, you don't have enough experience, now I'm hearing from my director that like, this is it for you. Mm-hmm. Like, take it or leave it. I was like,
the ceiling,
leave it. The ceiling. Yeah. So I feel like the identity that I was under, that I was like that I was escaping, was like, this is it. Like, look in your reality. This is all you're going to be. And I took the identity that at the time where I'm like, oh my gosh, like maybe this is it. Maybe I just need to settle. Maybe I just need to get over it and just realize this is what it is. Be grateful that I got this job. Mm-hmm. And I think that when I started initially trying to soak that in, I started to get anxiety a lot. I started to get depressed. I started to feel like confused of like why I moved. All these like signals my body was giving me was like, this doesn't feel right. So what are you going to do about it? And over time, I started to kind of recognize like where I could shift and really coming back to that dream of like being the CEO, being the creator, being able to run my own show. And just like a little highlight, if for anyone that's like, okay, how did you get into fitness? I was going through my own weight loss journey and I gained a lot of weight all through this time where I was like not enjoying like my job. So when I started to lose the weight, I started to feel more empowered. I got a trainer, nutritionist, just felt so empowered of investing in myself and like what fitness did for me and my body and my mindset. So that's really what expedited and kind of like was the catalyst of me being like, what if I could help other people do this and just make them feel so good the way that I'm feeling just by putting a goal and putting myself first? So that was kind of where I started shifting from realizing like, think outside of the box, literally outside of the matrix and create a life for you. It's all in our head. It's all our belief system. It's not, you're not capped by your skill set or your capabilities. You're capped by your idea to think big picture and to think that you can. And that really shifted for me.
Can you hone in a little bit on that piece? Because that I can really relate to in terms of, when you were physically getting stronger and healthier, that translated to you feeling like more powerful and limitless and like that, how the physical translated into just like an emotional, mental strength.
Yeah. Well, I think once I started to honestly hire a mentor, a trainer, a nutritionist, really, and I call them mentors because they helped me understand my body the way that I couldn't, and they pushed me. And I'm all about having someone to like I'm all about coaches having coaches, and I loved that aspect. And I think that's what really helped with my mental piece, because when I would see my personal trainer once a week, he would push me and he would like get into my head of like, it's all in your head, like move past the pain. So then when I started actually seeing the weight shift, I ended up doing a bodybuilding competition, and that was mental grit. Like I've never done something more empowered in my life, just to like, literally it's all mental. So I think once I completed that show, I was like, dude, I could take on the world right now. Like, and if anybody has done a bodybuilding show or cut and dieted for a long period of time, like, how much dedication and willpower you need. So I think to answer your question, that's really where it started for me, where it became mental and emotional, where I was like, if I can put my head in the game for anything that I want, whether that be owning my own business, whether that be a bodybuilding competition, whether that be whatever that is that I have a goal on, like I can do it. All I need is the willpower and the dedication to do it. And I think that's where I started to feel like, okay, mindset's a huge part of a fitness journey and a wellness journey. It's huge. It's not go to the gym 8 times a week. You can't do that, but you know what I mean? You can't go every single day. You can't eat super clean and then be like, okay, I feel good. You gotta work on the mindset and around it of like, what's your why?
Yeah. And so now you've like gone and done that like on a way deeper soul level. And you were touching on, bringing in a relationship, like a deeper spirituality, a relationship with universe or God. And when you said that to me, it's like, that's like a shift in mindset in terms of trusting that there's, something out there guiding us, that essentially you can trust on a deeper level that everything's going to work out either as it should, or, however, there's different ways of interpreting that, right? That it's all predetermined, or that, that there's this guide and that you kind of choose which path based on that. But essentially it's kind of outsourcing this thing that individualism, which, in Canada and the US, we're just marinating in individualism, that everything's on us. So when you allow this other mindset in and let it really, I like how you keep saying like on a cellular level, because I think that's what takes time. That's the practice of embodying this deeper trust. I don't know if that resonates with you.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I think that we all have something guiding us, whether or not you believe that or not, whether that's God, universe, spirit, source. At first it was just universe, and I never really felt like I had a relationship with God. And religion, I grew up Catholic, but I never was practiced in my household. It was almost like when you were in fear or you needed protection, you prayed to God. And I was like, this doesn't really like sit right. So, and I went to Catholic school too, up until I was like 8 years old. And then after that, like my mom believes in God. But again, like I said, we didn't practice it. We didn't go to mass and stuff like that. So when I got older, really kind of up until like 2019, 2020 is really when I started to like dive into that a little bit more of like, okay, there is something there. I feel it. I just don't know what it is. And I was very triggered by Jesus, by God, by Catholic school and like mass and like all the rules and like, things that go on with like religion.
The shame and the guilt.
Yeah, that too. And, when I started to kind of dive into spirituality, that just to me clicked. For me, there was something there that like felt like, I feel like if I could kind of like wrap words around it, I think that I was just getting in touch with my higher self, getting in touch with my inner guidance, right? And then that opened me up to having exploration with spirit, with source, with the universe, because I started to realize like attracts like, manifestation, understanding that our thoughts are so freaking powerful that we've manifested our entire lives up until this point. And to me, like these were things that really started resonating because I started seeing them come into fruition into my reality where I was like, holy shit, like I've been wanting that to happen and it just happened. I don't think there's a coincidence. I think everything is meant to happen to either teach you a lesson or to show you that like you've been doing the work to receive. So I think that's kind of where I started to realize like there is something guiding us no matter what you believe in. Like, I just think as humans, we have something there that is always directing us. And when you can kind of surrender and like lean into it, you start to see things unfold the way that they're supposed to. One, you're less triggered, you're less stressed because you're like, this was meant to happen and it's happening for me, not to me. And that was a game changer. And then you get to play with the energy. You get to like kind of play with like the idea of the universe and God working with you and saying like, okay, cool. Like, this is what I feel called to. I'm going to start working on these certain things and like, let's see how quickly I can manifest. Like, and that was just like so powerful. And energetic alignment, all of the things with energy. I'm like, this is real.
Yeah, I love how you're lighting up. Yeah, so let's shift to talk a little bit about the modalities that you work with clients. I know breath work is a big one. What else did you want to expand
breath work.
on? Let's do that.
Yeah. Yes. And breath work has been incredible. I just like to harp on that really quick. Like if you are looking for like a higher power to guide you and to tap deeper into your authentic self, tap deeper into your spirit guides, your higher self, like breathwork is such a beautiful place for that because you realize how much comes up in your body at that cellular level that you just don't realize, right? Like trauma is stored in the body. And when you start to tap into breath work, I've had my biggest like aha moments, clarity downloads from breath work. It's so powerful. It's so transformative. And it really catapulted my spiritual journey within myself and just making me feel just more connected than ever before within. So breathwork is really incredible tool. I love to use that for clients who are looking to release tension, energy, looking to connect to a higher power, connect deeper to themselves, help them let go of trauma, have an emotional release, right? Other modalities that I love to use are NLP techniques. So rewiring the mind, the subconscious, because like I talked about, your belief systems are number one. It is you are not capped by your capabilities. You are capped by the ability to think that you can. And
can I stop you there? Because let's dive a little bit into NLP and not assume that everyone knows. So what is it? And can you give us like a micro example of an NLP technique? Because I know there's several that are, it's so widely used that most people don't even know like that it's being used on them.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. NLP is neuro linguistic programming. So it's language of the mind, understanding how our mind operates, understanding how trauma is stored, and really creating change in an instant. There's so many different techniques. And I'm going to be going into like my hypnosis certification and mental emotional release later in the fall, which will be exciting. So a deeper dive into NLP. Basically thinking about NLP as a way of creating change within your mind and really shifting those beliefs. So like, for example, and I do parts work a lot with my clients. So parts work is essentially acknowledging that we have different parts of ourselves. And a very logical way to think about that is like, say you're torn in between a situation, right? Maybe you're in a relationship and you're like, part of me wants to stay with this person, the other part of me doesn't, right? Those are two different parts that are actually operating and giving you feedback. So when we do NLP, when we do parts work, we actually can talk to those different parts and understand them more. I like to think of my parts as like inner childs, like little children that have been maybe wounded in the past that are coming up for a reason to protect us, right? Our ego is always there to serve and protect, although it's not always at the, most best intention, and to learn to discern that is really powerful as well. So when we do parts work, we can understand that really both of these parts have the same goal. But when we can understand them more, we can really feel deeper into like, okay, what does my heart want? Maybe my heart really wants to stay in this relationship. And the other part was just really out of fear back from childhood. And when I was like never picked for partners or something like that. And I always felt like neglected and abandoned, right? Maybe that's what that fear part is. So when we can understand its job, we can give it another job. And then we can start feeling more whole with our decision. So that's like a really, really great example of NLP. There's different things where you can like rewire your belief systems. And kind of tapping into another tool that I use is it's called parts and memory therapy, which parts. So you're basically working with different parts of the brain and different parts of the emotions, whether that be like, maybe have a client that's like, I feel fearful of like leaving my job because of the uncertainty. Well, okay, cool. That's very valid, but like what's underneath that? And maybe underneath that, we kind of come to find that there's a memory back in that person's subconscious that happened years ago that triggered a negative emotion that happened. So maybe, for example, like one of her caretakers really kind of put it in her head that, she has to work hard in order to receive love and acceptance. So maybe right now she's not feeling fulfilled in her job. So that's why she wants to leave, but she's afraid that like her family, her friends, her partner won't love her or give her acceptance because that's how she was taught. So when we can work with different memories, we can neutralize that emotion there, in which it can really stop the trigger and stop it manifesting in the person's life. So those have been, and of course, like, talk therapy as well, reframing, all those different things. But mostly those are like my main tools that I use to go deeper in the subconscious and really understand why we're doing certain things, to uproot the actual cause so that we can heal that part so that it no longer is manifesting consciously.
Yeah, love that. Can you touch a little bit on, what it means to be trauma informed and how that can maybe, or, what that looks like in your work with clients?
Yeah. So trauma informed is just acknowledging we've all been through trauma. And the way that my coaching is that I work with people with trauma. I work with people who have been neglected in their childhood, who have been emotionally abused, who have been really low self-esteem, have anxiety, not the most empowered belief systems. Mm-hmm. So I just fell in love with working at the subconscious level, because to me, and just in my own experience, that's where the work is really done. Because if we can't find the root of things, then we're going to be constantly facing those problems. So when we can kind of dive deeper into where everything is kind of lying, we can uproot that. And a lot of like I have a lot of emotional regulation techniques as well. So a lot of like my trauma induced clients who have maybe heavier traumas, we can use different techniques to help them kind of cope with the emotions there. And, something I've really been deepening myself into is like emotional intimacy, having a relationship with your emotions, the shame, the guilt, the blame, the anger, and just allowing all of ourselves to feel all parts of it, and I think that that's really not normalized as often as like, okay, shove it down. You got to go, you're busy, you got to do this, you got to do that. You don't have time to feel. But I really teach my clients to feel all of those emotions, no matter how triggering it is, because when we can feel into it, we can understand it, give it compassion. We can bring that part closer to ourselves, and then we can integrate it. And that's the beauty of healing when we can get to that place.
Yeah, I love this combination of tools that you have in your toolbox. I love the phrase that you use, the leadership of your life. Can you tease that out a little bit and tell us, why you use it and why you love it?
Yeah. So I've been working a lot with coaches, entrepreneurs, women who have purpose, who want to amplify their purpose and really step into the leadership of their life. So for me, a lot of us are just so used to running on autopilot. We're so used to quieting ourselves down for other people's expectations of us and our identities, coming back to that, to uphold those responsibilities. Right. But when we can really get quiet and say, what do we want? And we're like, I want this. Like, if I could dream big, I would do this. That's leadership. That's really showing yourself you can lead the way. You might not have all the answers, but at least acknowledging that's what you want. So when we can allow ourselves to step deeper into a leadership role, we become the creator of our life. And that to me is like, everyone is meant for more. We just sometimes, many of us, don't see the potential because we've never been in a place to see bigger than what the box that we're in. So I really love working with women to tap into that potential of themselves and step deeper into that leadership role and step deeper into the driver's seat of their life.
Love it. So to kind of bring it all back, can you kind of walk us through what you see personally as the evolution of your own identity, and give us an idea of like what's your panoramic now for like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be like in 5-10 years, let's say?
My identity. I want to drop all my identities. I want to just be
good answer.
And I think some people might be like, I get that. I feel that, but I think ultimately taking away the labels, because sometimes labels limit us. And I really feel like the evolution of myself is just constantly being a student of learning, of education, but also being a student of myself, constantly being in a place of dropping the ego, dropping again, the labels, the identities, and just like really sink into my heart and say, what does my heart want? Where do I feel aligned? And just constantly coming back to alignment, coming back to myself. Because to be really transparent, I was in a place before when I started business, when I first moved to LA, I was like all about like, oh, what are people going to think of me? I got to have the certain trendy outfits. I got to go to these really cool places in Hollywood. Right. And I was like, this isn't me. Like I'm hanging out with the wrong people that don't value me, and for what? For attention. So that was a really big awareness that I created. And when I started business, it was the same thing. I think all business owners can, be really honest with themselves and say like, we were doing all the things to get attention, to get noticed, to get clients. And when I really had an awakening moment and an awareness of like, you got to be yourself, or else like it just isn't going to be authentic. And actually not putting authenticity out in the world is going to actually, you're going to receive the same thing. You're not going to receive authentic clients. You're not going to make money in your business because it's not coming from a genuine place. So I really had to get really deep with myself and really understand, okay, why are these shadows? Why are these triggers coming up? These insecurities? And, part of it I'm still working through. I'm still human. I'm still expanding myself, exploring myself. So in the next 5 to 10 years, I see myself running a company with just a huge mission to impact as many people as we can, to something that's deep in my heart is like creating retreats. I just had my first retreat this past year in Sedona. But I want to create more retreats. I want to create more in-person experiences for people to really tap into themselves and just really want to just step deeper into leadership within myself, within my company, within my business, and just starting to see that amplify. I just have such a big passion to help people just see their worthiness, come back home to themselves and feel like they can do fucking anything. Get out of the matrix. Live a life that you fucking love and really feel called to not settling in any part of your life. So I see myself hosting in-person experiences, coaching women, and ultimately just changing lives as I go and just touching as many people as I can. What that looks like yet, I don't know yet. I'm still playing with that idea, but just getting in person and doing the thing and having really incredible people to help support that dream and that mission and just kind of see where it takes me.
That sounds like we're very aligned.
Yeah, very much. That's why we are here.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's like one sort of question that you've asked yourself either lately or over the years, or maybe like a mantra that helped shift you into sort of tapping into this deeper authenticity personally for yourself, can you share it with us?
I think something that always comes up for me is I ask, is this in alignment? And if I could really get quiet with myself and sit there, I love to visualize. I think visualization is such a powerful tool to really see and tap into your potential, and even playing out other outcomes to really kind of go back to what do you really want? So something that kind of always kind of brings me back when I'm feeling out of alignment, inauthentic, is, I would say, just being honest. I really have a deep relationship with myself. So if I see myself kind of doing things out of character, or if I see myself doing things for the wrong reasons, like we all have an internal wisdom, we all have an internal guidance, and we know when we're doing something that's out of alignment. Like we know that. And just sometimes we still do it because of X, Y, and Z, right? So when you get that like if feeling or that irk, or like, this doesn't really feel good, listen to that. That to me is like my internal moral compass, if you will, of like, okay, we're not doing this for the right reasons, or maybe we're doing it for the wrong intention. And then it's honestly sometimes when stuff happens, you're like, okay, I get it now. So,
the universe slaps you in the face. See?
Literally. Yeah. So I think for me, it's just like really stop in your tracks and ask yourself, be humble for a minute. Like, is this something that you really want? Does this light you fucking up? And if it's like, no, or if it's like, well, this feels a little irky, that's your opportunity to kind of dig deeper and get curious. Always be curious about yourself. That is something that has constantly kept me evolving, is being curious of like, this isn't working. Why? What am I not feeling aligned with? How can I get back into alignment? Maybe it's doing nothing, or maybe it's shifting immediately, So, and really honoring like where there's space for you to create, to grow, to learn, versus always do, that contraction, that expansion phase that we're always in, either one. So really recognizing those parts in yourself, and then you'll just, if you have enough intuitive abilities and awareness, which I'm sure a lot of you already do, you'll know when there's time to stop and just really get real. Like, okay, where do I want to shift? If I could be honest. It's always asking, if I could be honest, XX, Y, and Z.
Amazing. Well, I'm so happy we reconnected, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm looking forward to sharing it. If you wanted to direct the audience to connect with you, what's the best way?
Instagram is where I hang out. That's like usually my vibe. I've been playing with TikTok, which has been super fun too. So they're actually the same handle. So it's Jessica Marie Step, all one word. Come say hi, send a follow. If you guys have any questions on anything, I'm always here to chat. So thank you so much, Megan. This was such a beautiful conversation and I loved it. We'll have to have many more.
Jessica. I look forward to our friendship in the future. We'll be in touch.
Bye.